Extraction is a new action movie released on Netflix starring Chris Hemsworth, and it tells the story of a black ops mercenary who has to get a kid from point A to point B. The kid in this movie who is kidnapped by his father's rival in terms of drug lords, and so Chris Hemsworth and his team have to go in, they have to rescue this kid, and then they have to get this kid to safety. In the meantime, the drug lords people are after them, and then there are other people that are after them for different reasons. It's as simple as it gets, really. I feel like this is not going to be that long a review, but I'm going to do it anyway just because I'm starving for any kind of new content. All you wanted to see was Chris Hemsworth kick a ton of ass in this movie, and there'd be nothing else to add as a story. Like, that's basically what the movie is. I know that a lot of people look at Chris Hemsworth and they see him as Thor, or they see him as this goofy, charismatic guy, and for sure, he is a guy that surprisingly has more comedic and charismatic chops than you would think he does. I will be the first to admit that most of his projects outside of the Marvel movies, I have not been the biggest fan of them, outside of maybe Rush. This is a guy that does have some dramatic chops to him. He's a solid actor, and in this movie, it requires him to be a little bit more brooding, a little bit more serious. There has to be a little bit more of an emotional core to his character in this movie. He is dealing with some kind of trauma in his past that kind of informs his background. I was impressed with Chris Hemsworth as a performer, acting-wise. I was also impressed with him as a performer within the action scenes, because I actually did see a lot of scenes where he's actually physically in camera performing these stunts and performing these action scenes. And so I gotta give credit to him, but I also gotta give credit to the director and the stunt people and everybody involved with making the action what it is in this movie. This is a first-time director, I believe, and I believe his name is Sam Hargrave. I think he's worked with Marvel on the other Avengers movies as far as a stunt coordinator goes, and I believe the Russos also produced this movie. Back in the past, if you saw somebody that did stunt work all of a sudden transition to being a director, you might turn your nose up at it. You might be like, I don't know if that's gonna work out. But then we saw John Wick and we were like, you know what? Let's not rule anything out until we actually see the movie. For all we know, it could be John Wick level good. You can definitely see the influence from both John Wick as well as maybe the Raid movies in this film, because there are a ton of really high-octane, adrenaline-fueled action scenes. There's some great hand-to-hand scenes. There's some great shootouts, some great chase sequences. All the action scenes in this movie are filmed and helmed incredibly well. They're staged and executed to near perfection. A lot of the stunt work here is top-tier stuff. A very violent action movie, which some people have found gratuitous or something. I don't really mind. I don't really care. I think it feels worse in a movie like this because it's a much more serious, darker toned movie, as opposed to the John Wick movies, which are kind of serious, but also are kind of tongue-in-cheek and wink at the camera type of thing and how badass they are, so maybe people have more fun with them. I don't know, but the point is, yeah, it's violent, but I've seen more violent movies than this in action genre. Hell, the John Wick movies probably have more total violence than this movie. I just got done raving about a Mortal Kombat movie a few days ago. You guys know where my head's at. So really, this movie, all it has working for it is great action. Unfortunately, if you're looking for character and plot and stuff, this movie's not really, it's not really here for that. Character work in this movie is incredibly thin. Like, it's paper thin. In fact, it's wet toilet paper type of thin. I don't say that to say that this is the type of script that you can wipe your ass with. I don't mean to imply that at all. I'm not saying that the movie is shit. I'm just using toilet paper as an example to let you know how thin the movie is. Charmin and Downey dipped in a pool of water. Like, that's basically what I'm trying to say here. However, if you take that and assume that I mean that the movie is shit outside of its action and outside of Chris Hemsworth, well, I'm not really going to argue with you that much. None of the other actors, actresses, characters are really given that much material to work with. As far as the plot goes, like I said in the beginning, it's very simple, it's very straightforward. There's not a lot of twists, there's not a lot of imagination. It's a story that you've seen done a bunch of times before, and nothing here is going to surprise you. There's really nothing here to intrigue you. It's really just Chris Hemsworth getting this kid to where he's supposed to be. If you're looking for something more than that, this movie's not here for that. It's here to just, you like Chris Hemsworth, you like violence, here you go. Here's 2 hours. Enjoy it or not. And that's basically what this movie is. So I'm going to leave Extraction in the golden age for Man of Steel. It's a slightly above average action movie, but I can't highly recommend it. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on Extraction. Tell me, have you seen it? What is your favorite action movie of the last 5 years? Put that in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.